What's good, everyone? Welcome back to where true crime hits different. Mod Squad, I appreciate you guys holding down the chat. Like always, you guys are amazing. Everybody's already flooding the comments with a lot of questions. I swear, some of y'all don't sleep sometimes, or work or whatever, but that's good. It's okay. I'm glad that you're here regardless. For my TikTok people, please tap that screen. Let's try to get it to 10,000. We are so close. I'll push that out to the YouTube page for me. And listen, guys, you guys all made it here just in the nick of crime. See what I did there? Huh? All right. Well, because today's episode, we're about to pack some very explosive developments in this Diddy saga. The type that had me up for literally hours double checking because we had some stuff come in late last night and I was digging and digging and digging to make sure that we had all of the information that we could possibly have for that. All right. Now, for my day ones who have been following the story, you guys know what time it is. And if you are new here, hit that follow button. If you are on TikTok, hit that subscribe button right now if you are watching on YouTube, because today's episode is hopefully going to be next level. We're going to be talking about Diddy's $60 million mansion finally getting an offer while all this heat is coming down on him. His unexpected win in court yesterday that I don't think anybody really saw coming. Fresh updates about hired muscle showing up at influencers' doors. And that's not even the craziest part, y'all, because we just got word of 5 brand new lawsuits that dropped. But here's what makes today so special. All right. I'm supposed to have 2 guests joining to help blow this whole thing wide open. First, we're going to be deep diving those jail cell raids, although I might have to push that back because I do not see that guest here yet. And then, as a lot of y'all who saw yesterday, I talked about the influencers, and one of those people was Secret Service Samson. And he is going to be here to talk about what happened when some hired goons paid him a visit, alleged PIs, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. All right. Now, TikTok family, I see you guys pushing those likes to 15K. Keep that energy up because these reveals, we're about to shake up the whole game here. All right. But listen, TikTok fam, a lot of times, well, I'll just say this. You're going to want to head over to YouTube for this one because sometimes, as you know, we have pictures and videos, and it's okay to miss those, right? And you can still kind of get everything. But with today's guests, I want to make sure you hear those interviews, and you have to see them on YouTube. That's the only way. TikTok doesn't play nicely with other streaming platforms. So I will try to get the audio over to you guys for those of y'all who want to stay here. But if not, YouTube is going to be the way, and I cannot promise that. What I'll have to do for the audio is take my headphones off and put them underneath the thing, and hopefully you guys can hear them. And YouTube family, if that notification bell is not on yet, now is the time with everything that's coming out, is about to come out. Trust me, you do not want to be late to these updates. You want to hear them when they come out. Now, before we delve into these mind-blowing revelations about what's happening behind the scenes of this investigation, let me tell you what makes these deep dives possible. And I'm actually very excited today to talk to y'all about these. All right. Because you guys know what time it is. I have to do the ads, right? We have to do the ads. But my newest book is out. I have it right here. And that's both exciting and slightly nerve-wracking. I'm going to tell you why. Because this book, which I've been talking about for a while, The Lost Balloon, a book about sharing, it launched. I got them in last night. It's not even been, I don't even think it's been 12. Well, it's been 12 hours. Probably it's not been 24 hours though since I've had these. And what's happening with them right now is honestly blowing my mind, and honestly is very humbling because in less than 24 hours, nearly 30% of these first edition soft covers are gone. Somebody said my YouTube channel has a fee. It does not. My YouTube channel is free, 100%. You can choose to subscribe if you want to support the channel financially, but it is free for anybody to watch. But anyways, 30% of these first edition covers are gone. We're down to 72 copies as I make this episode right now, and they are disappearing fast. Now, there are going to be 50 hardcovers coming. They are still in printing, but once these are gone, we are out until 2025. Now, let me tell you what makes this book so special, okay? It's not just another bedtime tale. It's not just another tool in your toolbox. Well, it is, but It's a magical journey where one lost balloon leads to an incredible space adventure that will definitely captivate your child's imagination. Basically, an unforgettable friendship between a young girl who is based after my daughter, Victoria, and Nova, which is the most lovable three-eyed alien in the galaxy you've ever seen. Look at how cute he is. All right. Very cute. And he shows your children that true friendship knows no boundaries. It's a powerful story that teaches kids the most valuable gifts often come from sharing with each other and opening our hearts to those who seem different. It's an enchanting way for your little ones to discover new cultures and celebrate differences through the eyes of my little girl's character, Victoria, and her new alien friend. It's also the perfect way to spark conversations about friendship, generosity, and the pure joy of giving with your children. It says 4 to 8, but 4 to 10 range because my publisher never listens to me. Now, here's the deal. Once these remaining 72 copies are gone, that's it until next year. I don't think I'll have any reprints. There is no extra stock. Each book is part of this limited edition first run. So if you're thinking about grabbing a copy, do not wait. They are moving. I honestly can't tell you or guarantee that they will be available tomorrow. Let me put them real quick here for you guys in TikTok shop. So if you want to see, no, that's not what I wanted. If you wanted to see this one, you can. Bam. There we go. I'm going to pin that right there while we talk about it for anybody who's interested in picking one up. And I will sign them. You can put in the notes for who to have me dedicate them to, and we will do that. Now, you can secure your first edition copy in the TikTok shop in the link that I just pinned below, or at JustInTheNickOfCrime.com. That is my website. You can order them there, and they will come signed. You can ask for dedications on those. And like I said, guys, the hardcover is coming soon, but with only 50 copies being printed, well, you can probably guess how quickly those will go also. But I hope to get those set up because I've had a lot of people ask for pre-order on the website either today or tomorrow. Now, the next book that we're going to talk about, you guys know, is this one. And I do have decent stock of this one left because I ordered so many of them the last couple rounds. But this book right here, let's just get real about the holidays for a family for just a moment. And let me also try to drop this one on TikTok as we talk about this. Give me a second here. See if I can add this back. All right. I can add, there we go. Well, this is the hardcover, but there's a soft cover too. I'm trying to do this quickly, guys. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. But that's for the boundaries if you want to do that one. But you guys know that familiar moment where holiday music starts playing, and instead of joy, you feel that familiar tightness in your chest, those upcoming gatherings where you see an empty chair across the table and it tells a story, and every why don't you just feels like a tiny paper cut. Yeah, guys, I'm there. I've been there. I've been limited contact, no contact with my mom for almost 6 years. I was very limited contact with my dad until recently when I made the decision to go full no contact with him as well that's for a different video. But here's the raw truth, guys. We're part of a silent revolution, right? Over 25% of millennials and Gen Z are doing something our parents never could or did, which is choosing peace over tradition, healing over history. We have those hard conversations with our kids because we refuse to pass down the weight that we have carried. But here's where it gets beautiful. We're not just setting boundaries, we're building legacies, and we're teaching our children that love doesn't come wrapped in anxiety. No can be the most loving word in our vocabulary, and that their family story is whole, complete, and beautiful exactly as it is. This isn't another parenting book that's going to gather dust on your shelf. This is a late night conversation I wish that someone had with me when I was staring at my ceiling, wondering why family felt so complicated. It's your permission slip to celebrate your perfectly imperfect family constellation. Because here's what I know for sure. Our kids deserve to inherit our wisdom, not our wounds. So if you're ready to transform those holiday conversations from dread to empowerment, grab your copy through the link in my bio or through what's pinned below. And it's time to write a chapter in your new history. This book dismantles the idea if you have toxic people in your family. This book dismantles the idea that you need to keep them around just because they're family. And that's what we want to teach our future generations. And on top of that, it teaches children how to identify conditional relationships so they can avoid them. And it teaches children how to set boundaries within a family. That's what it does. Now, that one is still available as a bundle. I'm going to see if I can add this other one real quick before I drop this, but I'm going to see if I can drop them as a bundle. Here we go. I'm going to do it as a softcover bundle. Now, with the softcover bundle, I am down to like 32 copies of this, and that's the same thing. Once I'm out of stock on these, I am out of stock on these as well. So Lastly, we're going to talk about this one, and then we're going to get into deep diving, and hopefully my guest will show up. That's why I'm stalling a little bit more than I normally would on these, but it is important nevertheless. But I'm going to get real with you for a second. A lot of y'all know this because I've been covering true crime now for a few years. And one thing that I've learned, and this keeps me up at night, because the only cases that keep me up at night are the ones that involve kids. But one thing that I learned is that the most precious gift we can give our children isn't wrapped in shiny paper. It's arming them with the knowledge and the tools and the power to protect themselves, right? Which is exactly why I wrote this book, Surprise RK Secrets or Not, because through the adventures of three friends, this book does what I wish every parent could do. It shows kids the critical difference between fun surprises like those holiday presents and dangerous secrets. It builds confidence without creating fear. It gives them practical tools they'll actually remember. And it makes one thing crystal clear, which is that their voice matters always. Always. And here's the truth bomb that nobody wants to talk about. And I keep talking about it because it's true. But the biggest threats to your kids rarely come from strangers in dark alleys. They come from people who use secrets as weapons, people who have earned trust just to abuse it. Family members, friends of family, people who you have invited and that you would never suspect would do these awful things and use secrets, but they do. But we can flip that script because every single child deserves to know they have the power to speak up. And while, yes, we should have had these conversations long ago, the best time is right now. And again, we have 32 of these left. And once they're gone, they are gone for the rest of the year. So if you want to order one of these bundles, order one of these bundles, get them. They will be signed. They will go out today. Now, my guests are still not here, so that's going to be a problem. But the next thing I will say, and I can't show you this because on TikTok, but whatever it is. I am on BlueSky. A lot of y'all have asked about BlueSky. I showed this yesterday. I am on BlueSky. For those of y'all who are like, what is BlueSky? BlueSky is basically the new Twitter. It was developed by the people who created Twitter. It was actually in the works at the time that Elon Musk took over Twitter, bought Twitter, was forced to buy it, whatever that situation was, and they have launched it. I can't make this stuff up, guys. So for older people, when you think of like skeet, you think of like skeet shooting, and I think I figured this out. We figured this out kind of yesterday. Like you throw a skeet in the air and you shoot it off, and I'm thinking that's probably what they were going for. But instead of calling it a tweet, they call it a skeet. Now, if you're a millennial, the term skeet means something very different to you. So that being said, anyways, now again, TikTok fam, I'm still waiting for these people to come in here, and we're just going to kind of go forward. I'm going to kind of change the order of what I'm doing today because I'm waiting for this person to come on here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to talk about something different. A little bit different than what we had. And that's going to be the lawsuits. Okay. We're just going to go straight to the lawsuits. And when we have our guests get here, we will have that conversation. Hopefully they will be here soon. In fact, let me just shoot them a quick email. You know how this goes, guys. We know how this goes. Let me. A second. I'm going to send them an email. And I'm going to send one to Sam and say, hey, come on, early you can. Early you can. All right. I'm trying to get my guests on, but yeah, I know I told Sam initially that he could be a little bit later because I was planning on doing this other one first. But you know what? Sometimes things don't always go the way we need them to go. So we're just going to pivot. So I was going to save the 5 lawsuits until last. But let's go ahead and go to them right now, and then we'll talk. Before I do that, I can talk about the mansion, and then we'll talk about this. I'll try to give him a chance to get here. Let me talk about the mansion first, and then we're going to talk about, hopefully these guys will be here. And if not, we'll talk about the lawsuits. We're just going to have to pivot, guys. Sometimes that happens. Now, in a very interesting twist to Diddy's ongoing situation, his Beverly Hills mansion has finally attracted a potential buyer. But there's a catch that perfectly illustrates, in my opinion, the current state of his affairs. So there's a real estate investor by the name of Beau Belmont of Bellwood Investments. Try to say that 3 times fast. And he has put in an offer for $30 million for this 17,000 square foot property. Now, what's interesting about that offer is that it is less than half of Diddy's asking price, which is $61.5 million, right? This development is particularly noteworthy for several reasons. First, the property has been struggling to attract serious interest since hitting the market in September. Real estate sources have been candid about the two main obstacles. One is that the property is considered significantly overpriced, but they also have what they're calling an ick factor to it, which I think we can all agree that mansion's got a little bit of an ick factor. I don't know what it would cost and how much bleach you would need, but it would be a lot. It would be a lot, right? But what makes this offer especially intriguing is the buyer's background. This is where things get a little bit interesting. So Belmont and Bellwood Investments have developed something of a specialty, as we'll say, in acquiring troubled celebrity properties at steep discounts. Most recently, they purchased Kanye West Malibu Mansion for $21 million, which is a property that Kanye had originally acquired for $57 million. In that case, Belmont was quite vocal about his plans to essentially erase West's controversial renovations, which included attempting to convert the architectural masterpiece into what was described as a bomb shelter. And the numbers here do tell an interesting story because Diddy purchased this property in Beverly Hills in 2014 for just under $40 million. And his current asking price of $61.5 million represents a significant markup of real estate that professionals have described as ridiculous, right? And Belmont's $30 million offer, while appearing low, might actually be more aligned with the current market realities, especially given the property's current challenges in attracting buyers, because who wants to live there? Now, Belmont has stated his intention to remove his intention is to remove the stigma from the property and redirect attention to its inherent beauty. Which, if you're watching it on TikTok or on YouTube right now, you can see the picture. It is a gorgeous piece of property. The house is beautiful. The grounds are beautiful. I mean, look at these gardens in the bottom left here, or middle left. It's a beautiful property. We have to say that, right? It's a pretty property for sure. So he wants to bring that back, basically, and restore it to its architectural vision. And, you know, again, timing is notable on this too, because we're going to talk about this. Diddy did secure a legal victory regarding, we'll talk about that in a little bit, right? But there's been no response at this point from Diddy's team regarding the offer. And given the significant gap between the asking price and the bid, it's unclear whether this will lead to serious negotiations or simply remain another chapter in this property's increasingly complicated story. Now, that being said, so I'm going to bring on one of our guests. Again, if you are on TikTok, I don't know if I can figure out a way to make you guys hear this where I can still hear him too. I will do my best on that. But let me kind of give you a little bit of background, okay? Because I'm going to eat crow here in a little bit, in a second, all right? But we talked about yesterday, I did a TikTok video, which I ultimately took down, and I talked about this on YouTube yesterday as well, which is the fact that there were a few, we'll call them influencers, but I hate the term influencer. Let's call them creators, okay? That there were a few creators who had been talking about Diddy, who had been visited by supposed PIs, basically asking questions. And one of those, and I never mentioned anybody by name, right? I never mentioned anybody by name. But what I did say was that this was going on, and I was very skeptical of the situation. And I'm going to tell you why I was skeptical before I bring him on. And he and I can talk about this as well. But I've been covering true crime for a while. And when you look at cases like Gabby Petito's case, and you look at cases like the Idaho 4 as two of the more notable ones, people will come on and make things up, right? And so I'm always overly skeptical about it. But here's what kind of changed my opinion, made me take it down. I fully believe this creator whose handle is Secret Service Samson, who's coming on. I fully believe him because he also was on TMZ and he filed a police report, and somebody's not going to commit perjury over something like that for a few 100,000 views. They're just not going to do it. I fully believe that. So I want to give you guys the background. Let me bring him on real quick. And yeah. Hey there.
Hey, Justin, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. It's great to meet you over streaming. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to try to turn this up so the TikTokers can kind of hear this, because he can't go on TikTok, awesome, guys, which is why we're doing this.
I know. And, I have to tell you, the reason I cannot go live is it's funny, but I won't say the words. But I was in the car with my son and he said, "Dad, go live," when I had like 3,000 followers. And I said, "Okay, cool." And he said 2 words together that you can never say on the app, and it banned my whole account. I luckily appealed it, got it back, but I've been banned from going live permanently. So it really blows, you know, like I was telling you, I want to try and talk to somebody to try and figure it out, because yeah, that's what kids do for you. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, thanks, man. You're killing a little stream of revenue for me.
It seems harsh, but yeah, I'm going to talk to, I have a person, I'm going to reach out to them. I'm supposed to meet with them later this week, and I'm going to bring it up.
I would love that, honestly.
And he's over live events. So like, I mean, that's what he's a live, like, TikTok manager person. I don't know exactly what.
Great. Yeah, because I feel like if somebody explained to the algorithm that it was kind of an honest mistake, you know.
Somebody said to tell him to make a new account. His account's pretty large now. He's in the 6 digits, so that would be a lot to do. Now, real quick, for those of y'all who are listening on TikTok asking who's talking, this is Secret Service Samson. That's his name on TikTok. If you'd like to see him, you can jump over to YouTube and see it there. I'm trying to do my best here to let y'all hear it without y'all having to jump over, but you're going to get a much better experience over there. Now, first, let me do this. I'm going to eat crow here, and I'm going to apologize to you formally in front of everybody, because I'm okay with being wrong, and you proved me wrong. And so I'm going to publicly say that and apologize to you. And I also want you to kind of explain what happened. And I have your video where I can pull it up and show people. And I don't know if you're okay with that. So I figured I'll ask you that first. Okay. And do you want to show it first and then explain, or do you want to explain, or do you want to introduce yourself first? How do you know, whatever you want to do?
Well, yeah, I just first would like to say, you know, thank you. And I appreciate you, you know, saying that. And, you know, I always say, you know, grown adults, I've been wrong a lot of times, even on my page, and I'm like, oh, sorry guys, you know, that's my bad. And I know too, as a influencer, you know, it was funny when this thing happened, I immediately kind of thought about you and Khadisha and people who have way bigger followings than I do. And kind of to your point, I was equally as surprised that this happened, because I have 120,000 followers. You have 1.5. So it, you know, I don't know, maybe because I'm in LA, or maybe because I feel like you report the news more so straight, and I am like kind of talking shit a little bit about people
too, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? Like I think I'm poking. And I love what you do. I mean, a lot of my research is seeing your videos, seeing Khadisha's videos, seeing TMZ. Just, you know, I really respect when I see you break with something, like, okay, here's what we're talking about. And then like all of us, we kind of put our own spin on it. But yeah, so I was shocked to see these guys come to literally my back door, my gate. They were peering through my gate, and they're like, are you Samson, the social media influencer? And I just thought a friend was like playing a prank on me. It might have been in the neighborhood or something. And, you know, kind of to your point where people think it's staged, I can totally see that. I mean, I think the way these guys act in the video, in the moment, it felt weird to me. When I came outside my gate, something in my gut just said, hey, film this, Sam. And so I put it on the wide angle, and it's weird. I just had the phone against my chest the whole time, but I imagine a lot of people are like, well, you know, in my head, I almost was about to say, is this okay if I'm filming you guys? But I was like, screw it. They're invading my privacy. And it was odd that they didn't mind being filmed. You know, that was something that really struck me. And I was naturally scared. You know, you see the guy in the video, he's got huge muscles. He had the thin blue line hat on, which, you know, like I said, it instantly tells me this is somebody who has a gun. He's maybe law enforcement. And then the other guy, you know, they just looked like they had been casted in, like I said, some 80s film. And like, hey man, we'll pay you more they even had the New York accents. It was surreal. I felt like I was on the Truman Show or something.
It's very weird. And let's let people see it who haven't seen it yet. And by the way, if you're on TikTok, you can follow him at Secret Service Samson, I think you have a YouTube channel too, correct?
I do, yeah. Samson Krupin, it is, yeah.
And make sure to plug it more as we're doing this. But I'm gonna go ahead and play. And again, if you are watching on TikTok, I have to remind them, because you know how TikTok is, people keep coming in. If you're watching on TikTok, you'll just be able to hear. If you want to see, you got to jump over to YouTube. It's the same name, Just in the Nick of Crime, if you want to. But if not, you can listen. But let's play the video, and I'm gonna take my stupid face off, and I'm gonna put yours on so you can have the reaction. And
yeah, take my stupid face off too, you know.
No, you want yours off too? I can just do yours with the video.
Okay, yeah, let's just watch the video just so people can see. What I love about this video is I recorded the entire interaction, because I'm not the type of person who's great as like, okay, Sam, what happened? What did they say? Nobody, kind of like you said, Justin, nobody would have ever believed me if I came on and said this happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that something told me to start recording, and it's the entire, everything they said is in there. So.
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes, and it is very well. You know, we'll just play it. We'll let them see it. For people who are like trying to figure out what are we talking about, what's going on. Basically, Samson here was visited by, I don't want to call them PIs because I almost wonder if they're goons. You know, like hired.
It felt like that kind of, yeah.
Because I've interacted with PIs. Which is one of kind of my thing. I was like, I've never seen a PI conduct themselves like this. And that doesn't mean that they're not, but you guys watch it. What happened? These are people who came to him regarding the content he's been making on Diddy, and just watch it.
These are private investigators who have come to my private home asking about influencers. This is very uncomfortable, you guys.
I don't know why. I'll explain.
No, you're at my home.
Okay, so you don't want to talk to us then?
Have I broken some law?
Absolutely not.
And you have the thin blue. This is frightening. I think. Can you guys step away from my home?
Well, we're in a public street, so the answer is no. But I'm not. Listen, I'm really not trying to give you a hard time.
Why are you here? What do you mean? You're showing up at my house.
We're very nice and respectful, and we will be. I just have two quick questions for you, and if you want to be interested in it, great. If not, I'll have a nice day. We're not.
What is this? This is odd.
So
you have to admit this is very weird.
It always is, and people always ask us the same questions. I'm happy to explain it to you. So
What?
Very simply, we were just hired to speak to a few people that do, have a lot of followers and stuff like that on different platforms.
What is this about the Diddy stuff I report on?
Somewhat, yes. Not necessarily Diddy stuff, but people are involved and just stuff like that. So basically, a very simple question is are you paid to influence that's stories like that in any direction?
No, not at all.
That's all we wanted to know. Because if the company is, they're looking into people who are.
Are you guys gonna pay me for this visit? Like, this is frightening.
So,
like, I'm super. You have to admit, if I came to your house, and like, I thought this was a joke. I thought I have a friend coming over business right now. Like, this is extremely weird for me. I have 100,000 followers. I'm not making any money.
That's one of the reasons why we're here, and that's the question that we're asking. If someone contacts you, say, in the last 6 months, and is paying you to influence in a certain way.
No.
Either one way.
Is it illegal if somebody would have?
So the answer is no.
Okay, I wish somebody would have. I'd love to be making real money off this.
Let me talk for 2 seconds. I'll explain to try to make you feel better.
I mean, this is terrifying.
Very simply, if somebody was paying you,
right?
The company we work for, we're just asking that question.
Right.
If somebody was, they would just be willing to possibly offer you money to know who and see what's going on.
Well, they're paying me $1 million. Will you guys give me $2 million? I'm joking. But seriously, this is very odd, you guys. You guys came to my house. It makes me feel slightly good that maybe I'm getting some notoriety for this, but this is crazy.
So again, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So apparently there's tons of things influencing going around.
Okay.
A huge percentage of it is all bots, not real.
Interesting. No, I'm real. Anything I report on about Diddy is coming from what other influencers, what news articles, and I'm a comedian. I put my spin on it, but nobody is paying me to do that.
I've seen it and I like it.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very simple that if it was the fact that somebody was paying you.
Right.
People who were getting some negative, talk,
would be interested in
finding that out and possibly going action either against that person,
right? Or am I at any danger for doing this?
Zero. The only time you'd ever have any liability is if you said, "I know for a fact this person raped it."
No, no. All of I'm satire. I'm a comedian.
And you know, say allegedly.
I always say, wow. I'm shocked that this is. I've never had fans come visit me. I'm just filming you guys because this freaked me out.
I'll tell you why. Because everything you do is real. And so many things are just bots.
Right.
So we got a list of about 15 people.
Interesting.
That only post themselves.
Wow.
And we're just trying to find out if people are paying for the story to be pushed.
Got it.
Listen, everybody talks about it.
Okay.
I'm not an influencer whatsoever.
Right.
Guess what? Me and my friends talk about it once in a while.
Right.
Oh, you got
right. And I understand I'm not looking to spread misinformation, and TikTok docks you very quickly. If I've had videos of like, oh, that sounds threatening or this and that. But, well, can I get your guys' information just so if I have something that comes up, I can contact you guys?
So to be honest, like,
no,
we can't give out a company because
okay.
they don't want to be linked to anybody.
Got it.
My name is Robert James.
Okay, Robert.
Peter Deegan.
Okay,
and
cool. This is crazy.
Agreed. And again, we were gonna sit out here.
No, that's fine. Yeah, it's my cat Crunchy. I hope my wife is impressed. I mean, I just hope I'm trying to be a successful comedian. I would love, but it is freaky that you guys like come to my back door. This is kind of crazy.
I don't know where the front door is.
I mean, I know, but even on my house, even though you guys are able to just find me, is crazy. I mean, I guess it's not.
Well, just Google anybody's name.
I guess I just didn't expect anybody was looking for me at all. So.
No, that's all. So
okay.
So apparently doing something right because you're getting at least.
Yeah, because you guys are visiting me. I wish you were two hot ladies visiting me. No, you guys are pretty yourselves.
I apologize.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much for. Is that it?
No, that's all.
All right.
If you're like so and so's paying me.
Oh right.
Money, we could talk.
No, and I'm also too. I'm a truth seeker, so I couldn't be paid off to have somebody having me. You know, it depends how much money, I guess, my wife, would,
be honest,
yeah.
The last few we've talked to,
everybody's
just doing what they want. It's they do it because they love it.
They enjoy
it.
And honestly, it's getting people to pay attention. So on TikTok, if people are paying attention, if I'm doing I did a No Diddy music video. Nobody cared about that. But if I get on and talk about something.
You're not bad.
Hey, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Well, okay. I appreciate you guys coming by. This is odd, but maybe I'm on to something.
Again,
okay.
If you are getting paid, then maybe
we just want to know by who and if it was
interesting. Interesting. Okay.
That's all.
Interesting. Well, contact me again if there's some real money to be made because I need to make it. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. This is crazy. Take care. No, it's okay. It's okay. So bizarre. Justin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's just so bizarre watching it back and really kind of taking notes and studying.
It's weird too because like again they don't act like any PIs I've ever seen. They also don't really look like when I mean stereotypical hired thugs. So like recently I reached out to somebody and I'm terrified that he follows me now. But there was somebody who's like, oh, I shared the same area that Diddy was in jail. And I was like, hey, would you want to do an interview and kind of talk about like what it was like in there? He's like, I only do interviews for money. He's a former Gambino crime family enforcer. And when exactly that face is appropriate because now he follows me and I'm like, this is cool and terrifying at the same time. But when you look at him, I'm like, all right, this guy was an enforcer. He looks like what you would expect somebody coming to your door who's doing that kind of thing. These guys, it's a very weird interaction on their part. I guess now for people who are watching who might not know the tail end of this, Samson has reported this to the authorities, and he was on TMZ about this as well.
Yeah, right? Because to be honest, that was part of with TMZ. Obviously, if you're skeptical, they were very skeptical, and they're like, "Look, we cannot put this on without a police report." Pretty much, they can't really tell you have to. But I was honestly more than happy to because I had just had a lot of stuff going on that day when it happened, and just kind of processing it all. And so I was like, I have no problem filing a police report because. The best thing about this for me is it happened. It's so freaking odd. It's so unbelievable to me. Like he was saying, yeah, you have lots of followers, lots of followers throughout all social media. My entire following is on TikTok. Right. Like I have 4,000 on Instagram. I have 5 something on YouTube. I've been doing comedy for 20 years. I've been doing sketch videos, stand-up, everything. And to be honest, I've just never had a following that hit until I started doing this kind of Secret Service Sam character. So that's what is funny to me is he's talking that I don't have this huge following. And when I said, I know in your video it said, it was like, I'm joking, are you going to pay me? Because I was almost like when he came and I was like, well, fuck, and all my friends were like, why didn't you say that? Yeah, you were being paid. And I'm
Behind
like, because
2020, right? So
right. And I'm like, well, but also these guys want it. I'm not going to be, oh yeah, it's the Schmitz and Blifting company. You know, I have to give them a real company I'm working for. I'd have to give them, part of what he said is their company was paying to know what company was hiring me. So you can't just make that stuff up. They're going to go and they're like, Sam, there's no fucking, we're not giving you $1 million. You know, I mean, we're adults here. Like nobody's handing you over, especially to fucking guys like that coming to your back door. They're not going to give you money unless you really, you know, you have something to, you know, information to give them. And, you know, even I was just taking notes on it, like when I said, am I in danger? You know, that was kind of free. He's like, well, no, but he kind of stuttered, you know, it's just, and then when the other guys, so their names, Robert James and Peter Deegan, I'm like, just sounds like, again, like names I'd throw in a script for 2 cops, maybe. But I, you know,
how many views do you, I didn't take note. How many views does that video have now?
Let me see. I think it's up to about 700,000. It's funny too. I just put the TMZ video up. They told me I could put it, but then Creator Rewards just disqualified it for not being original.
Yeah, they do that. When I've been on News Nation, they do the same thing.
It's rough. 745,000.
So I wonder if it'd be worth getting zoom in on their face and seeing if the internet can identify them.
Yeah, you know, I actually took pictures that I can just pull up right now for people. So this is Peter Deegan. You guys can probably, hold on, I'm sorry, see that pretty clearly. They're such sketch balls, dude, you know? Because like I said, I was flattered that you did a video about me and I was just cracking up kind of, but I'm like, hey, wait, no, this is real though.
Well, I never mentioned names for the reason of just in case I don't want to get sued, but like,
yes,
but it was obvious. And again, I was wrong and I'm okay, but I was 75% serious that if they came to my house and offered me $100K to make positive Diddy content, like, here's your warning, guys. I'm doing it.
I know. No, you know, Justin, look, you're not alone, man. Yeah, you'd see me be skippity doing like, Diddy is the best. Yeah, Diddy is the best. Yeah, he's not such a bad guy after all. Yeah. Look at this hat, though, Justin. Do you see?
It looks like that's Florida.
Yeah, it's Florida. And hold on, sorry. Hope I'm not giving up any information here. It's Florida and the thin blue line.
Hat. So he's got, a lot of PIs have law enforcement background. But.
Yeah. That was honestly, like I said, the part that just kind of got me about that thin blue line hat is a statement for sure. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just kind of, I don't know, with that and the combination of his muscles. And then you saw in the video, I said, sir, can you please step back? And he goes, well, this is public property. So the answer is no. And that was kind of a part that freaked me out a little bit, where the normal human response, like, okay, man, just relax. Yeah. I'll back up. It was aggressive. It was aggressive. You know, and then that one Peter Deegan earlier was like, just answer our question then. You know, it was so like a freaking movie. So again, I see, like you said, it did seem scripted to me. And then in the end
is what it is. And I think the thing that threw me off was like, it took until after talking to you, and it took until somebody said you guys are scum for taking money from a pedo Diddy. We're not taking money. We're joking right now over a very serious situation. Nobody's offering us money. Calm down.
I know. Look, and like both of us have said, I wish, you know, I even like in the video, I said, you know, I said, I'm a true seeker, you know, I wouldn't let somebody pay me off. And I'm like, well, how much are you guys talking? You know, because shit. I mean, I just started doing TikTok like this like 3 months ago. Like I said, I'm a stand-up comic, so I've been doing comedy and entertainment for a long time. But maybe you feel a little bit the same. This is starting to bridge into a weird 80s thriller where I'm like, are we, you know, now I'm somehow involved in this thing that I've been reporting and talking about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's very surreal when that happens. And the thing about this case in particular, it's a little it's this way, you know, he's kind of a scary dude, right? He's
right.
I have in my chat over here on TikTok, I don't know if he's still there, but I have Relentless Aaron. That's DeWitt Gilmore. He was one of the people who's filed a lawsuit against Diddy for trying to run him down in Manhattan back in the 90s and take his life, and so we had him on. He's in there, and you're talking about some of these people, that it's not just threats with him. He's capable. So the question becomes, where did these guys come from? Who are they really? Because they're probably not PIs.
Right.
So that's where it becomes concerning. And that's, I think, where I got hung up on. But then after everything was said and done, and you reached out to me, some other people did, and I talked to my wife, we were like, maybe they're just saying that they're PIs, but they're not PIs. They're somebody else, and they're claiming that they are. Because if they're legitimate private investigators, every private investigator I've encountered hands you over their card.
Yeah, you saw me. I tried to because I was like, well, hey, if somebody's investigating me, maybe I want, and I have my own private investigator and I have my own lawyer. I mean, I've been talking to my lawyer throughout this whole process because, like you said, this is a dangerous person. So I am getting to this point. I'll be honest, where it is intimidating. And like I said, I'm a comedian. So I'm like, Sam, how far, I don't mind doing this news pop and stuff like that and being honest, but you see how far I don't want to take this to the point to where it gets more serious, if that makes sense. I don't like to put things in the air. But it's like, how far do I ride this tightrope? I just want to do live comedy shows, have a TV show. I'm an entertainer. This thing bridges that gap of you're dealing with real people now. Sam,
well, this type of an altercation, as we'll call it, or an interaction,
Mm-hmm.
That definitely has the promise to get you in front of a lot more people.
Right.
But you want to be done for the right way, and you don't want to do it at the cost of you or your family's safety. And that's what's most important. So That's why I'm like, I would almost be willing, while you have the views and while you have people, interacting with that video, hey, who are these people? Can any of y'all identify them? Because maybe somebody knows what they're associated with, because you have their alleged names, right? Are they the real names?
Is that doxing though?
Not if they figure out who it is and they let you know who it is privately. Because typically that's what happens. Like when you look at somebody like Donish, I don't know if you follow the Donish guy, but the Donish does that whole thing, and he finds people and holds them accountable for actions, typically terrible things that they do. But here's a fun fact: I would never dox anybody. It's not an okay thing to do.
No, me neither. I just didn't know if that is,
But I learned from my attorney that apparently it's not illegal, especially if the information's public. So if you have somebody on a website, those websites that have their information, then that's no longer doxing, even because it's public information for what that's worth. Yeah, Artisan, somebody said, it's a good example. But
because in that video, that is their car in the background.
Yeah.
And you can
Mercedes?
see, so you can see the license plate, you can see them. I almost kind of opened it up to some of my followers to say, hey, can you do you guys?
That's what I would do. I'd be curious,
and maybe print up pictures and show them. I'm just, Justin, like I'm saying, I'm just, how serious is this? How much, you know what I mean? If we could just talk all the shit we want, and I can make all the jokes, and I can make money off TikTok and whatever, my wife will think, this is a good job for the time being, it's great. But like we said, it's it's kind of hard to tell. I had people call me like, Sam, stop talking about Diddy right now. Stop now. And I made a damn music video, no Diddy. It's just that freaking thing popped into my head the other day. I was like, oh, I gotta go.
Somebody they did say they had a list of people to check out. So that's interesting, because we know that there was another creator that got a visit from them. Somebody, I guess she's a bigger YouTuber that I'm not familiar with her content, but another YouTuber. Are you and her the only two that you're aware of that have gotten visits from these guys?
Yeah, Amala and I are the only ones. And now, funny enough, I'm getting kind of DMs from people like, I got visited too. And so you're almost like, I almost feel like we got visited by aliens. It's just such a weird when everybody's saying you were visited, it's just I did put up security cams all over today,
Smart.
so I got my cams up and all that.
No, I mean, that'd be a good time to promote the TikTok shop and the Wise cameras. Just have them send you something like, hey, after getting visited by these alleged Diddy goons, I put up Wise cameras.
Hilarious. I know. I still need to figure out that stuff too, like how to do I'm really new to it. So yeah, I'd love to talk to you if you don't mind more about stuff.
No, of course not.
Cool man shed too, or your room. I'm in my kind of studio. This is my podcast studio, kind of my drums are in the back, little studio. So
somebody did ask a great question. What did the police say when you visited them?
I did not visit them. I made an online report. Yeah. And what's interesting, it's just because I had never filed a police report online. I've only done a police report when you have an accident. Yeah, I didn't either. But I just found out from my lawyer, it's easy. You can do a police report, hit the different, check the things that happen and swear under whatever that it is true. And excuse me. So that was very nice to be able to just, do that, because just for even my sanity, that if this somehow somebody comes back to ask me about this, I have a police report that, hey, this did happen. These guys came and visited me asking me if I was being paid to do negative videos about Diddy.
That's it's very interesting. And I wonder who else is going to pop up with this, but I would be interested to see if they wanted to, if somebody could identify who they were, if those people were, say like, hey, this is the names that they gave me. This is who they say that they are. Are they these people? Have you been able to cross-reference those people, on the internet? Because some of the people, because I guess if you're more in the comedy space and entertainment space on TikTok, I can tell you from being on my side, these true crime people, especially some of these women, they have let me tell you what, you do not want a woman trying to come after you and find everything about you, because they will. Some of these
hell hath no fury like a woman scorn, right?
Yeah, and not even scorn, they have a skill set and they'll put it to good use, sometimes to identify these people or hold them accountable. So
I get it.
Yeah, I would just say you never really know.
Okay.
By putting it out.
Do you think it would be okay, like showing their pictures? I don't know if I could show the license plate, but I could just tell people, hey, it's in a picture.
It was a picture taken on a public street, buddy. That's all I'm saying. Give the same thing they said to you.
Right. Well, and you know how it is. Part of the big thing with TikTok, I just get so worried that, this was bullying or harassment, or this video, they love the community guideline strikes. I just,
I know they do. Well, that's why you have to do it. Well, we can talk about it more. There's a way to
definitely. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on too. I know you probably have more guests and everything. But
we got one more guest about the raids and stuff, but I appreciate you coming on and letting me apologize to you for being wrong on this. And
no worries. And I appreciate you, man. I mean, a lot of people are narcissistic and don't ever admit when they're wrong. And that's what adults do. And I would do the same, easily, you know what I mean? So I really respect you and appreciate you for doing that. So
likewise. And I appreciate you, your willingness to have a conversation and come on here and talk about it and share your story and allow me to eat crow a little bit. So,
hey, no, don't even please. I really didn't take, I was flattered. I
know you were fine. Yeah. So you were fine. There were some people in the comments that were less fine, but that's nature.
Whatever. Hey, but this is great. Now we've forged a friendship. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's all good.
Yeah. And reach out. Yeah, we'll chat more, and I'll help you with some of those things that you're asking about.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. Have a great day, and thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
See you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, guys. Before we bring our next guest on, I just kind of want to give you a little bit of an update on a couple things, so you know where this is coming from. And then afterwards, we'll talk about sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I'm trying to find my notes here. We'll talk about the 5 new lawsuits. Now, the guest that we're coming on, his name is John, and I cannot remember off the top of my head what his username is on TikTok, but I will let him tell you that. I reached out to him yesterday because he actually stitched a video that I did on an update where Diddy actually got a win in court. And I know a lot of people don't like that fact that he got a win, but we're going to talk about it. And I really feel like this particular guest's input will be very valuable. But let me kind of tell you what's going on real quick, just so y'all are aware. As a lot of y'all are aware, there was a raid last week in Diddy's jail cell, and some of the items that were taken were allegedly legal documents, things that would fall under attorney-client privilege, attorney-client confidentiality, right? And now, according to the prosecutors, all of these documents that were taken in this raid, and allegedly this raid was scheduled long before Diddy even got to the Brooklyn MDC. So it wasn't like to specifically target him, but supposedly these documents they took went through a filter team before they were handed over to prosecution. And the reason that this is kind of a big deal is because there's been a couple stories that have broke because of this involving witness tampering, including stories that I've posted and I'll continue to post because they're still stories and they're still relevant. But ultimately, because of this happening, Diddy's attorneys filed an emergency motion for an emergency hearing in court, which they got. He was in court yesterday, and the judge ruled in his favor, ordering the prosecution to not only destroy all 1920 pages of documents that they had taken in that sweep, but also that the documentation would not be used or considered in Diddy's next third or fourth or fifth, whatever it is, upcoming bail hearing. And so the gentleman that we have coming on, and I'll just kind of give you the idea of this. He was a sergeant, a correctional officer, a sergeant. And so he was making a video as to why that happens, because a lot of you are like, Diddy should not have any rights. Diddy shouldn't do this. But there are rules and regulations that police and law enforcement and the Constitution, they have to follow in rights that the Constitution affords us. So we're going to bring him on real quick and just let him kind of talk about this.
All right.
And let me get you the same size as me. How are you doing today? Thank you for being patient.
I'm doing okay.
So if you want to introduce yourself, give your handles and all that kind of stuff, who you are, and I appreciate you coming on with such short notice.
All right. So my name is Jonathan. I go by John5969 on TikTok, and I have my official Taekwondo rank on their first dan black belt, and it says Taekwondo. So it's John5969, first dan black belt Taekwondo is the full handle. So I was a former correctional sergeant. Stopped doing that in 2019. And you're absolutely right. There are a lot of rules and regulations to follow. If he disobeys the rules and gets punished, they can strip him of everything except they cannot stop the U.S. mail. And the U.S. mail cannot be stopped. The U.S. mail cannot be tampered with. That's a federal offense. Illegal mail, anything that comes in a manila envelope that says legal, cannot be read, cannot be shuffled through. They cannot mess with anything that says legal. However, the other property is fair game, provided they do a inventory report for anything that is confiscated. It usually is going to come with a write-up for whatever the contraband is with with a confiscation report to show that so that way the inmate and the correctional facility knows where this property is. So anything like, say he got caught, some staff wrote him a letter, that can be confiscated. The staff will be terminated, and the inmate will be sanctioned for that. And there's certain items they're definitely not allowed to have. They're only allowed to have their inmate property that they purchased with their own money, or things that were purchased from commissary, and they have to have a DOC number that's imprinted on each one of these items. So even if another inmate steals it, we can easily identify this inmate's property with their DOC number that is etched into the thing that they bought. Those are the only authorized things that they're allowed to have, in addition to their DOC clothing and their DOC ID badge. That is it. Anything else beyond that is contraband.
All right. So I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. Now, let me ask you a couple other questions. And I'm assuming that different facilities or different federal facilities are probably different than state facilities, and probably something in New York is going to be different than something in, say, I don't know, Alabama, right?
Yeah,
the way that it's done.
They basically the federal system and the state system they run their systems completely differently. I did this on the state level, and I did it in Texas and Indiana, and I didn't see a difference. It was basically the same policies and procedures.
Okay.
Basically the same common sense stuff, how to contain inmates, closing doors, same basic stuff that is from state to state. and each facility will have their own policies implemented by the warden of that facility. So the warden can add to the policy for whatever's happening at that facility. The warden might come up with a memo saying, hey, we can and cannot do this here at this facility, depending on what is going on at this facility. It just all depends on the facility.
All right, and so the prosecutors on this case said that this raid was scheduled long before Diddy even got there. In your experience, is that a fairly accurate statement, would you say, or do they schedule these sweeps like far in advance, or what are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't see how they would schedule a raid or a cell inspection before the inmate gets there, because the inmate has to have the property in the cell to do a cell inspection with. So if there's nothing in that cell, there's nothing to inspect unless they're doing they're looking at the cell to make sure the cell is safe for the inmate. I can see that happening, but if he has to physically be checked in there and have his property put in there for them to do something to his anything to do with his property.
And then the filter team, is there a team that does go through all of these things first before they're handed over to a prosecution or whoever? And I guess in this situation, and obviously I know you don't know specifically because you weren't there for this specific situation, but given that some of these notes were supposedly, client attorney privileged, why would this team then hand all this stuff over to the prosecution? And is there any repercustions from them doing that?
Oh, if this was
and people are asking, sorry, I've had like 5 people ask if you're able to move over a little bit so they can see more of you. They're like, I can only see half of them, but you can still hear all of you. But anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, because if this is legal mail, they're screwed. Like literally, you cannot. There's certain things that you cannot tamper with. U.S. mail, that's a federal offense. Legal mail, anything to do with lights, water, is just certain things that you just cannot mess with, because now if anything bad happens after you messed with their legal stuff, their lights, their water, or any kind of food, whoever did that is 100% cooked. Just the fact that he won, whatever it is he won, if they find out that this person violated policies and procedures, there's a high probability if there's a high probability this person can be terminated, because this job is easy to get. But understand this, it might be easy to get, but they fire people every day of the week in there. So like for really stupid mistakes. So if they violate policy and procedure, and not knowing the policies and procedures is not even an excuse. It's even worse when you know the policy and procedure and violate it anyway. That's definitely going to be a firing offense.
Let me ask you another something. How have you been following this Diddy stuff since pretty much day one, to some degree?
Pretty much when it first broke. I'm seeing a lot of it on TikTok. Okay.
Do you remember? Were you following it when Suge Knight came out and was talking about like prison and stuff like that? And there was another guy who I talked about this too. This was not related to Diddy, talking about, I forget what he was, but basically prison bosses and stuff in these situations. Here's what I'm getting. I'll just ask you what I'm getting at. So Suge Knight was talking about prison and kind of the way things are. And I feel like it's pretty safe to assume that somebody like Suge Knight is a prison boss. Like, I don't want to screw with Suge Knight. Right. But like in these situations, how accurate is that type of a scenario where you have these, I guess, the corruption with the guards and prison bosses and things like that. And then somebody like what is this looking like for somebody like Diddy as being high profile?
So, first of all, since he's high profile, he is going to be in administrative segregation right off the rip. Like, they cannot put him in general population, because there is going to be chaos if they put him in gen pop. And then on top of that, some of this stuff is greatly exaggerated because there are policies and procedures in there to control these inmates. Like, we do random inspections on their cells. So if they have something in their cell that they're not supposed to have, eventually we're going to catch it. They have all their phone calls are recorded. You can't three-way call anybody off of that. Have somebody three-way call anybody off of there. Anything they do, the video camera system in the prisons. You can write something on a piece of paper and hand off to somebody, and they can read every word that's on that piece of paper. So that charge is called anything that's not issued to the inmate and you give it to them. It's called trafficking. Then there's another charge if you were to exchange information outside of that facility that you should have kept confidential per policy. There's another charge called information trafficking. Both of those offenses you can be fired immediately for. You will not have a job, period. The only thing is to terminate the employee. And so the likelihood of them getting away with anything in there, if the staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's not easy to get away with that stuff. However, there are officers that are extremely corrupt, but they get caught and they get terminated. I have witnessed staff, because I used to work at Pendleton Correction before I got hired as a sergeant and went to the women's. I worked at Pendleton Correction and I had a guy that he gave an inmate some kind of money on a card and he interacted with their family member. I don't know the whole story, but as soon as he did that and he brought in the contraband for the inmate, that's the day that they did the shakedown at the metal detector and caught him with everything. Oh, he was terminated on the spot. And that's at least at a minimum 3 felony charges right off the bat. So these officers get felony charges, multiple felony charges, fired from their job, and the firing is the least of their worries. That prison sentence that they're about to get after that, that's the part where they have to really worry about, because they just screwed themselves.
Yeah, and you don't want to be an officer in prison. I know that. So that doesn't bode well. The last thing I kind of want to talk about or ask you about with your knowledge, and unless there's anything else, of course, you want to add, is one of the things that came out was that Diddy was apparently paying off other inmates to utilize their phone time. And he was either filling their, through payment apps or filling their commissary accounts, which we know he's got the money to do that. Are they allowed to trade off minutes like that?
No, they're not. They're not the thing is, the only way that they would get away with that is if the officer that's in there watching them is also corrupt. That's about the only, because when I ran units, they had their time to do whatever on the phone, and that was it. And like once they exhausted whatever time they had, they were not allowed to. If the officer was watching them and paying attention to what they were doing and opening and closing the doors like they were supposed to, they would not just be able to come out and do whatever they want. They would actually have to ask the officer to unlock the door to let them go to the bathroom, because when you leave the doors open, that's a procedural violation. It can be a procedural violation and a policy violation at the same time. But procedural, if you are inside the unit and you just leave all the doors open, that is a procedural violation that you can be fired for. So they have to close all the doors and open them as needed. So that's the whole idea of containment, and to control for safety reasons, to control everything that's in there. So they just cannot, unless they're in the day room. That's the only time that you'll see them freely walking around, watching TV or going to the bathroom. But the rest of those guys, if they're not in the day room, they're probably going to be in the cell sleeping, or they're going to be knocking on the door to be let out into the day room. So they don't have, even when they're in the unit, they have very restricted while they're in the unit, and that day room area is as far as they can go, unless they're going to lunch or some kind of line movement. That's the only time they're be allowed beyond those doors, unless they have permission from staff to talk to staff out beyond those doors.
So Relentless Aaron in here is in the comments. He's actually one of the people who have filed a lawsuit against Diddy for Diddy tried to murder him. He wanted me to ask you about the dorm because he's in low security housing. And there's only a handful of other people in the pod. About, would that situation be a little bit different given the type of
even because like a prison's a prison, so like his things to his communication is very limited. It's only limited to the phone that he's authorized to use. It's recorded. There's no cell phones authorized. So like everything he says is recorded, the mail, if it's not legal, yes, you can read letters. So if you open, because before the mail comes in, it goes through a room and they go through all the stuff, make sure there's no nude pictures of women, because women like to send crazy stuff. Make sure there's no naked pictures, and you can actually, as long as it's not legal, you can open that and you see the letter sitting there. You can open it, read it. If it's something that is against policies, you can confiscate that, do the appropriate paperwork, and immediately notify the supervisor that they have something dangerous that's written down in this thing or whatever. We have fired staff for writing letters directly to inmates. That is a massive no-no. So we have caught people doing that, and that's how they find out that certain females have been in relationship with inmates, because they're stupid enough to send mail directly to the inmate. You cannot contact these people at all while they're incarcerated. So that the people have been caught doing that. So he has to be trying to circumvent the system, either direct communication with staff, which you will get fired for if you do this, or the staff has some kind of direct communication with family member, which you would also get fired for. So yeah.
I think it's very interesting. Well, I know that, I mean, that's what the prosecution's accusing him of, is trying to circumvent the rules and saying that he's basically done that since he's been there, which, I mean, honestly, you've been following this, somebody like Diddy does not like to be told no. Somebody like Diddy wants to do what he wants to do. And even in this situation, he's probably still going to try to run things because that's just who he is as a person. So he might be getting in trouble for that kind of stuff, but it sounds like he might still, well, we know he's still doing some stuff that's wrong.
Because, I mean, in my personal experience, these write-ups that these inmates get don't do nothing to these inmates hardly. They get they're basically getting a slap on the wrist. The worst that they could possibly get is administrative segregation and just like complete isolation for, depending on the severity of it. I don't really know the absolute max they can get, but I've seen people go to the hole for like 30 days and they're just sitting there staring at a wall. And then their little exercise that they get is going to be in another cage outside. So they don't get to be roaming around a yard free. They get to go into another cage and walk around that thing for their little exercise. So they're very, very restricted and controlled during that. So they that is the worst punishment that facility can do to that inmate. They cannot violate this inmate's rights. Anything other than incident of contact is a use of force. So therefore, you cannot physically abuse these inmates. I don't care what they say. They can say all the F-bombs in the world. You cannot strike them unless they're using physical force. So the worst you can do is that administrative segregation and restrict all of their privileges. And even on certain inmates, they've been punished so many times that not even that deters them. So yeah, they kind of think they're above the law in regards to that. They feel entitled, and it's very frustrating to deal with somebody like that because they don't have any fear of consequences. So I'm pretty sure Diddy thinks he's still in control, and he's not. I
would agree with that statement. Well, I gotta tell you, I really do appreciate you coming on to walk us through some of this stuff, especially so last minute, because I think that there's a lot of stuff about the prison system, for those of us who have not been there or have not worked there, you don't know how it goes. And so I think it kind of helps explain why, this judge gave Diddy the win on this one, because it made sense to me just knowing it. But I feel like coming from somebody like yourself, who has been in that system, as a CO and at the rank of sergeant, nonetheless, would definitely be able to give some good insight, into all that. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I guess I will get into the latest charges, but I'll let you go, and maybe if we have more things, hopefully I can get you to come back on.
Sure.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, everybody. So we're going to talk about. Let's talk about real quick the latest. Let me get my stuff pulled up here again. And I appreciate John and I appreciate Samson coming on to talk about this. We talked about the court win. Let's talk about the latest lawsuits, because 5 got dropped yesterday. And this is his 4th wave of lawsuits coming from Tony Busby, 4th wave of SA lawsuits. And with this one, there are 5 new accusers who have come forward. And the breakdown of this is 3 men and 2 women who claim that they were SA'd, abused, and or exploited by Sean Diddy Combs. These all took place in New York or Miami. The oldest incident, I can talk, looks like it took place back in 2001. That's the oldest one, with the most recent being 2022. So really not that long ago. Actually, there were a couple that were 2022. The youngest of these victims was a child, y'all. She was 17 years old at the time of her assault. So let's get into them. So there was one woman who was 18, and we say woman, I guess technically legally you're an adult, but I mean, to me, 18 is still a kid. But there's one woman who says that when she was 18, she attended a Halloween party at a New York City nightclub. Diddy and his entourage were also there attending. And Diddy and his group allegedly supplied this woman with drinks throughout the night. And by the way, trigger warning on these lawsuits real quick. All right. Supplied her with drinks throughout the night before a security guard allegedly escorted the woman and 2 of her friends to a nearby limo where Combs and 6 members of his security team were waiting inside. Now, after being handed a drink, the woman claims that she began to feel woozy and that Combs ordered her to perform acts on her with one of the security guards, on him, her to perform acts with the security guards. You can guess what those are. The woman claims that the guard, his security personnel fondled her and assaulted her. And because she was drugged, scared, and confined among numerous men, she did as she was ordered. She did as she was told because she wanted to get out of there with her life, basically. Diddy called the women profanities as he degradingly sprayed champagne all over them as they performed these acts against their will. Ultimately, Diddy forced the plaintiff to perform the same act on him, which she did. The second one is a girl who was 17 years old. She's now an adult. She's identified in court papers. All these people were Jane and John Doe's. She's from Texas, and she alleges that in her lawsuit, that she was a teenage model at the time, and she ended up being recruited and wound up at one of Diddy's 4th of July. This was on July 4th, 2004, one of his white-themed A-list bashes at his Hamptons mansion. This is how she described it. The event was lavishly decorated, featured live music performances, and boasted top-tier food and beverages, an atmosphere of opulence and luxury full of celebrities. Many unsuspecting individuals, like the plaintiff, were recruited to attend these parties, according to the lawsuits. The woman alleges that while at the party, and this is the same MO we hear from so many of Diddy's survivors, she was given a laced drink and ultimately lost consciousness. When she awoke, and again, warning, guys, when she awoke, her underwear was missing and she felt throbbing pains in her lower, more intimate areas, plural. The lawsuit alleges that at some point, Combs and 2 of his bodyguards approached her and then threatened her, telling her that she would be in danger if she spoke about what had occurred, stating that he ran New York and he would ruin her. And he added, the lawsuit adds, at this point, the plaintiff recognized that at least Combs had SA'd her while she was unconscious and she feared for her life. Then there was another victim. Now we're getting into the men, who says that he was assaulted in 2022 at a party. So this is only a couple years ago, guys. A couple years ago. Was assaulted in 2022. The man says that he was 39 when he attended a party at Diddy's glamorous home in New York City, or at a glamorous home in New York City hosted by Diddy. The man claims he consumed alcohol, which was given to him by others at the party. And then guess what? Lost consciousness, blacked out. When he regained consciousness, he was in a dark bedroom with black walls on a bed with black sheets. Everything around him was dark, and he was horrified to find Combs on top of him, sodomizing him. He said that he ended up fighting Combs off and ended up fled it. Another male accuser claims that he was invited back to Combs' Florida mansion for an after party after a meeting, somebody associated with Diddy out of Miami that he had met with. At a Miami nightclub in 2022. So this happened also just a couple years ago. This particular John Doe claims that Combs, guess what? Well, guess what Combs handed him, guys? a drink. It was kind of rhetorical. That's not surprising at this point in time. Handed him a drink, led him to a bedroom where Combs allegedly demanded 2 women perform erotic dances for a group of 3 men. The man claims that he then lost consciousness and woke up naked to Combs essaying him, similar to the previous guy. A third man claims that he was assaulted by Combs and an unknown man during an audition for a music video acting role, and this was in October of 2001. This John Doe claims that he was given substances or rugged, as we know, and held down by Combs' bodyguard as Combs assaulted him. He recalls hearing a few other people in the room laughing and talking and seeing what other people, or what appeared to be, camera flashes going off, but could not see anything directly at this point. His lawsuits has all this claimed in it. And the man also claims that he had to receive, and I want you guys to think about this last line here of how bad this assault might have been for him to do this, okay? The man claims that he received medical and dental care as a result of injuries sustained during this assault. Okay, this is SA. It's not physical assault, it's SA. That he had to get dental care for. Medical care too, but dental care. Think about that. It's horrible. Now, real quick before we sign off, Relentless Aaron is in the house. We love Relentless Aaron. DeWitt Gilmore, he's one of Diddy's accusers. He filed a lawsuit basically talking about what happened to him. His was not an SA. His was a more violence. Diddy tried to take his life. But apparently under a new filing, there's a plaintiff by the name of David Johnson, who is a prisoner, and he has filed a lawsuit against Diddy as well. So we'll try to find some more rights on that. It's the civil rights other is what it said. The defendant is Sean Combs. So we know that this person's an inmate. See if we can look at this, what he sent me. I need to get Relentless on again in the near future, but we'll try to find some more details on that, and I'll let you guys know. But all of that said, guys, this is where we're going to leave today's deep dive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you came in late, obviously on TikTok, it's all recorded here on YouTube so you can see it. But, the developments we covered today, from the 5 lawsuits we just spoke about to the jail raid situation where we had a wonderful guest, John, come on to talk about it from the experience of being a sergeant, a CO, from the mansion deal to the influencer encounters that we had, or the creator encounters that we had with Samson on here. To me, they all paint a picture of just how complex this investigation is becoming and how complex and deep this rabbit hole goes. And I do want to thank our guests, again, both John and Secret Service Samson, for bringing their expertise and firsthand experiences to help us understand what's really happening behind the scenes and some of the stuff that's going on. And like I said, listen, guys, if you are catching this on TikTok, you already know what I'm going to say because I just said it. Head over to YouTube at Just in the Nick of Crime for the full unedited version of this show, of this breakdown, the interviews especially, because you need to see them in their full context. And Mod Squad, y'all MVP today, keeping our discussion space focused and respectful while we tackled these really heavy topics. And to this whole community, the way y'all analyze, the way you connect dots, the way you share insights while maintaining integrity, this is why we are different here. Now, drop your thoughts in the comments below, especially how these new shocking lawsuit details, the unexpected court win, the interviews that we had. What patterns are you guys seeing that we might have missed here? Drop in the comments, because I read every one of those for my YouTubers, especially if y'all are watching this even after the fact. And remember, fam, in cases like these, the truth often comes out in layers. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, keep asking questions, because there is always more to the story, right? Peace out, everyone, and we will see y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow.